Hello, guys, and welcome to this channel where we unwind with a powerful idea. Tonight, we are not here to rush or to push ourselves. We are simply going to slow down and gently explore an amazing idea. An idea that suggests maybe we don't need years to change our lives. Maybe just 12 weeks is enough. So, get comfortable, take a slow breath, and let's begin. There's a quite problem with the way most of us think about time. We think in years, New Year resolutions, birthday promises that next year I'll be leaner, I'll be earning more money, I'll have a better job. Long term goals, plans that are way into the future. And because of that, we feel like we always have time. So we delay things, we postpone our efforts. We tell ourselves, I'll start next month. Or how about I'll start next Monday? And of course, if it's a weight loss journey, we somehow convince ourselves to have one last huge buffet before we begin. But that strong urge to start never really comes. So, why not start with a short term goal? Or let's call it a quarterly goal. Instead of thinking in 12 months, why not just 12 weeks? Okay, let me tell you why 12 weeks can change everything. When the timeline becomes shorter, you know, something inside us changes. There's less illusion and more clarity. 12 weeks feels real. It feels close. It creates a sense of urgency, not panic, but clarity. You begin to see what actually matters and what doesn't. Your focus becomes sharper. You only need to do what truly matters instead of chasing many goals. You gently choose one or two and you give them your full attention. That's exactly why so many people take on 30 days reset challenge or 50 days project challenge or the most popular one 75 hard and 75 soft challenges. There's something peaceful about having a short term goal because let's be honest, when everything feels important, nothing really is. But when only a fewer things matter, life feels little lighter. Don't you think? In this way of living, weeks become more important than months. Each week, you quietly ask yourself, what are the few things that will actually move my life forward? Not 10 things, not 20 things, just a few. And then, slowly, calmly, you do them. Not perfectly, but consistently. And over a period of time, these small weekly actions begin to shape something much bigger. But hey, there's also something called the perfection trap where we all get stuck. You don't have to do everything right. You don't have to feel motivated every single day. Just show up. even if it is only a little, because progress isn't built on intensity, it's built on consistency. So, tonight, as you rest, you might softly ask yourself, what is the one thing that truly matters to me right now? Not everything, just one thing. And ask yourself, what's one small step I could take this week? Gently, calmly, without pressure. Because maybe you don't need a full year. Maybe 12 weeks is enough. But here's the uncomfortable truth, none of that matters if you don't execute. The best plan in the world is worthless if it stays inside only a book. The 12-week year isn't just a planning system, it's an execution system. The author says something that completely changed the way I think about this. Success isn't created daily, it's created weekly. And in my opinion, it's simply the result of many small daily systems working all together. Think about it. Most people start Monday with no clear idea of what actually matters. They answer emails, attend meetings, scroll through social media, and react to whatever comes up. By Friday, they feel exhausted. But somehow, they haven't moved any closer to their goals. Because being busy is not the same as being productive. So, why not every week set aside 20 to 30 minutes of your time and ask yourself one simple question: what actions can I take this week that will move me closer to my goal? Not next month, not someday, this week. Write down only the actions that truly matter. These become your weekly commitments, simple and clear. One of the biggest mistakes people make is that they confuse projects with actions. Build my business. That is not an action. Calling 5 potential clients is. Lose weight. That's not an action. But walking 8,000 steps every day is. This execution doesn't happen through goals, it happens through actions. Most people don't actually know how they are doing, they just feel busy. But feelings can lie. We all know that, right? But numbers don't. In this book, the authors recommended scoring yourself every single week. Let's say you plan 10 important actions. How many did you actually complete? 8? That's 80%. 6? That's 60%. Simple, right? Because what gets measured gets improved. Imagine trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale, or trying to save money without checking your bank account. It doesn't work. And the same is true for productivity. Let me give you a personal example. I actually struggled with saving money for a really long time. Every month, my salary would come in, but by the end of the month, there was almost nothing left. This went on for years actually. Then one day, I decided to start tracking my spending. At first, I honestly thought I was just being too hard on myself. But when I looked at the numbers, I realized something. The problem wasn't a shopping addiction, it wasn't even my utility bills. The real problem was awareness. This tracking actually exposed the truth, and once I knew that, I could finally start changing it. Here's something else the author has mentioned, and I found it really interesting actually. If you consistently complete around 85% of your planned actions, you're usually on track to achieve your goals. Not 100, not perfection, around 85%. And honestly, that's pretty encouraging, right? Isn't it? Because perfection isn't required, but consistency is. Real accountability means taking ownership of your actions without excuses, without blaming other people, and sometimes without even feeling motivated every single day. For example, imagine you promise yourself you'll go to the gym, but instead you stayed home and watched Netflix. An excuse will sound like, hey, I was tired. But accountability sounds like this: I made a choice that didn't match my goal. See the difference? One gives away your power, but the other keeps it. Because when you own your choices, you also gain the power to change them. Now, we have built a compelling vision. We have created our goals. So, now what? Now comes the most important part: execution. Actually taking action. How do you make this system work in real life? Now, let me tell you what I personally think about this. The first thing I have noticed is that sometimes we are trapped in planning too much. We tell ourselves, I'm going to track everything. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to apply for 20 different jobs. And before we know it, we have created 20 different plans. Or we have set goals that are simply unrealistic for the time we have. So, your first task is to actually reduce the number of goals. Personally, I'd suggest focusing on just one, or the most two. And of course, they should be the goals that genuinely reflect the life you want to build, not the life someone else is living. And once you have chosen them, stick with them for at least 12 weeks. Don't fall into the trap of chasing someone else's dream just because it looks more exciting or more successful. Because remember, it isn't your dream. And more often than not, success comes from staying committed to one meaningful goal long enough to actually see the results. Once you have chosen your goal, break it down into weekly actions. For example, let's say your goal is to get fit. Don't just write get fit. Instead, ask yourself, how many days am I going to work out this week? What am I going to eat each day? How am I tracking my sleep so my body can actually recover? See, those are actions, and actions are what create results, right? Another thing I'd highly recommend is blocking time in your calendar. Protect that time. Treat it like an important meeting because honestly, it is. If something is important enough to change your life, it deserves a place on your calendar. Make that time non negotiable. And once you have started, don't shy away from reviewing your progress. It's very surprisingly easy to drift away when you're not tracking yourself. You know how it happens. You plan to stick to a 800 calorie diet plan, and then one day you grab McDonald's and suddenly you have consumed nearly 3000 calories without even realizing it. Small choices made consistently can either move you closer to your goal or slowly pull you away from it. That's exactly why a weekly review matters. It allows you to catch those small mistakes before they turn into much bigger problems. And after you have reviewed everything, be open to making small adjustments. You don't have to throw away your entire plan, just tweak it, improve it, keep moving forward. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, the goal is progress. One idea actually that changed my perspective is a lesson from this book actually that stayed with me. Most people overestimate what they can actually accomplish in 1 year, but they totally underestimate what they can accomplish in 12 focused weeks. Just think about that for a moment. Imagine giving one meaningful goal your complete attention for just 3 months. No constant switching, no waiting for January, no starting over every Monday, just consistent action, week after week, day after day. Your life could look completely different by end of those 12 weeks. So, if I had to summarize this entire book in just few ideas, it would be this. Choose a few goals, not many, just the ones that truly matter. Instead of hoping for better results, build better systems. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, start with the very next action. Because small actions repeated consistently often create the biggest transformations. So, here's a question for you. If you only had the next 12 weeks to completely change one area of your life, what would you choose? Take a moment and really think about it. Then write it down. I'd genuinely love to know, what are you going to focus on over the next 12 weeks? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to read your answers. And if you found this summary helpful, consider subscribing. I make videos about books, productivity, self improvement, and practical ideas that can actually apply to your life. No fluff, just ideas which you can listen carefully and you can generally make a difference from that. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you spending your time with me today. And remember, you don't need a new year to create a new life. Sometimes you just need the next 12 weeks. And before you leave, don't let these ideas become just another source of motivation that disappears tomorrow. Because inspiration without action changes nothing. Instead, choose one meaningful goal, create your first 12-week plan, take one small action today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, today. Because your future won't be shaped by what you intended to do. It will be shaped by what you consistently do. So, start small, stay consistent, trust the process, and 12 weeks from now, you might be surprised by how far you have come. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Good night.